Okay, here I am. Oh, shalom, salama, salama. Welcome to Q2A Discussions Live. I am your host, Karis Copeland here at Q2A. Let's begin. Dun-dun-dun. Yeah, so I have to. I come on. I come with my own soundtracks. No. Welcome everyone. Welcome. Thank you for coming on in. Um, I usually go a little later on this because I do wrap things up by about 7:15, 7:20. Um, this kind of gives you some highlights of what's happening on the continent and how that is really affecting what we're dealing with here in the African diaspora. And I know a lot of our people are still trying to figure out what does that mean, diaspora? What does that mean, to be recognized as a diasporan? All these things that we consider, all these things that we look at, there are things that we have to continue to really move forward on as we are working towards these different, I would say, scenarios that's playing on out. And I'm not my intro isn't going to be long because I want to, in this, and I got told last night. I got told last night. Well, you're a bit negative. I'm a bit negative. But the reality is, am I negative or am I seeing the world for what it is? And I would actually have to say we're seeing the world for what it is because the positivity stuff that's not there anymore. Well, you need to be positive and being positive, you need to do this and in doing this, you need to do that, right? Those are all those you need tos, you need tos, you need tos. And quite simply, we, on the other hand, don't really need to do anything. We really don't need to do much. And what that do much or do anything is, it's not that we're trying to just, be on out because we don't want to do anything at all. We don't want to do this. We don't want to actually, but believe it or not, a lot of our people want to do. We just don't want to deal with the craziness of what it is that we do because we've done and have done things and have been exposed to things that is pretty much tiring. And what we're actually doing right now, we're protecting our mental and spiritual gates. And it's hard because for a lot of what you see it and what we're truly dealing with, those spiritual gates, they're creating that spiritual, I would say, turmoil that they're experiencing because we're just sitting here and we're looking at what the continent is doing And we're actually seeing what the continent is offering. What is it doing? Why is it doing it? How is it doing it? How are things moving? How are things behaving? So I'm going to go into these couple of stories very quickly. And a lot of this was documented on some of the thumbnails that I had used, because let me tell you, a lot of what is happening, especially on the continent, um, you're not seeing things. Let me just tell you, they do not report it right away, especially in English. A lot of what you have that's reported, they get reported really by word of mouth. And I really can't give you like very good veracity and reporting other than what I had seen on, YouTube, unfortunately. So our reporting metric, and even with research and being an analyst, you want to go with a couple of different sources. And I always try to do that if I can confidently speak. Well, how do you confidently speak to that? Well, I saw this, I looked at this, I've seen this, and then that kind of makes sense. And then that starts to make sense. Oh, okay. Yeah, you've been able to see this, we've been able to look at this. Now, interestingly enough, as I am, and here's a couple things that these first two stories kind of tie in together. And I'm going to start in with the negative, but I also but then I'm going to accentuate this with the positive. All right. The first one is, and if you could bear with me as I'm leading up into this. So we had purportedly a meeting with, I'm going to say this, Mali had a meeting with the African Union. And let me tell you, with this channel, with Q2UA, the organization, even as a 501c3, we as an organization have raised money to ship a medical shipping container to Burkina Faso. Burkina Faso is part of the Sahel Alliance. I was personally able to go to Burkina Faso about now around 4.5 months ago. And we've been able to see the impact of what that medical shipping container had done for the people of Burkina Faso. So there's a lot that's going on that we have a direct impact in the Sahel. So I'm just putting that on out there, because those missions of critical infrastructure and economic development, well, let me tell you, the Sahel is actually a lot friendlier to African Americans, African diaspora, particularly African Americans. And you witnessed that before Burkina Faso kind of had to close down a little bit. So no, we're getting to that status because of what we have been able to accomplish. We're building that body of work, as Minister Rick says, is Q2A considered an NGO in certain respects, but yeah, there's things that we have to get to be legally recognized by certain international bodies and authorities. And honestly, and that also creates more things with IRS reporting and things of that nature. So we support those aspects, right? We support that. So going back into this, um, make no mistake, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, the AES, they are the heart of Africa. They're the heart of West Africa. And the heart that's beating in West in Africa by and large is actually responding to them. They're and not it's in a very positive way, but it's a way they're still standoffish because it's a way that people know that if they in terms of other African countries want to actively participate, well then the Western nations will then bring a healthy dose of democracy. And what ends up happening is this. Um and we'll tie into all these functions. You had an attack on Niger. Niger airport had an attack. And it's purportedly we'll go into here. This is BBC, and I'm cautious because BBC has a slant, but the problem is you don't have a lot of U.S. journalists per se anymore that really uh, cover international news. So that's kind of the strange thing about this. So suspected jihadists attack airport near Niger's capital. Chris Elakor in Basilio, Rukanga, and that is their airport. And let me tell you this: these airports are in they're ill prepared, they're ill mannered. Even with my time at Burkina Faso, um, at their airport in Ouagadougou, it's horrible. It's atrocious. I don't know what else to say. And they know it's horrible. They know it's atrocious. And here's the awesome thing. These are things that we can deliver. These are projects that we can deliver. Yeah, if you notice, this is why they don't want to deal with the World Bank anymore. These loans, these predatory loans, buy, buy now, pay later for the rest of your life type of loans that we are subject to here in the United States. They realize, man, we got the minerals, we got the resources, which is basically why the jihadists had done so. And I want to tie this in so you can start to get this understanding. All right, so it says suspected jihadists have launched an attack on the international airport outside Niger's capital, Niamey. Niger's defense ministry said 4 military personnel were injured and 20 attackers were killed, with state television saying that a French national was among them. Keep that in mind. A French national was among them. There were 11 arrests over the attack at Diori Hamani International Airport overnight from Wednesday to Thursday, in which sustained heavy gunfire and loud explosions were heard nearby. All right. So the head of Niger's junta on Thursday thanked Russia for its help in foiling the attack on the airport and accused the president of France, Benin, and Ivory Coast of backing those responsible for that. So I want you to really again keep that in mind. Excuse me. Because you're going to see a lot of different things, and I'm going to come here. This is Reuters, so I'm giving you kind of this body of work. Oh, it's not allowing me to. Oh boy. Yeah, whenever you're doing these international articles. This is Business Insider Africa. I guess this is the best one. And I'm going to share this. So this man that you see, this is the former president. So he initiated the coup, and basically, he was only in office for about 6 months because they realized, they said, well, we're no better with this man being the leader of the coup. We're still at odds. We're still in. We still have issues. So keep in mind that a lot of these countries had been, they're just basically puzzle pieces that Europe had just carved around, like, hey, here's this, here's that. One of these had stated, and this is an earlier article, but the article basically has stated, or there are things going on. You can find it on YouTube, that YouTube, it's one of those stories. This man, his name is Damiba, Paul Henry Damiba. He was expelled to Togo. Togo was holding him there. Togo continues to have good relationships with the Sahel, but it was Benin and Ivory Coast that was basically doing the bidding of Macron over in France. And this year, earlier, I think actually less than 48 hours ago, he basically spilled the beans because he wanted to obviously save his life. So basically, they're trying to pay for a coup. What can $125 give me for a coup? They said I'm your man for 125,000. I think honestly, any self-respecting person would say, obviously, I fell on three more zeros. Man, I guess they can do some coups for cheap. Oh my goodness. 125,000. 125,000. That's all, man. What do you get, man? I got this. I got these folks right here, man. You can fit it all in the briefcase. Some people walk around that and with just Louis Vuitton luggage for real. What day you want in some Louis Vuitton luggage? We'll throw you on in a Chinese BYD. That is sad. It's not funny. It's relatively sad. It is very sad. So you had a couple of events going on. Mali was a bit more of a safe haven this week. However, what they were saying is that some of the visits by these heads of state were utilized to be able to basically do their spying operation. They're basically doing their ISR, their intelligence reconnaissance, or excuse me, ISR, surveillance and reconnaissance, with their people, their entourage there, taking pictures, probably having their Google glasses so they can, see what was happening, get kind of these little, plot routes and map routes and things of that nature, so they can start to diagram things with, satellite imagery that was probably more than likely provided by the French to be able to try to plot, and it didn't work. And not only did it not work, Togo basically fed Damiba up. They said, we're not going to do that. We're trying to get out of colonization. And the most interesting thing about that was they were looking at ceding. This man Paul Damiba was looking at ceding some of the land to Ivory Coast. Now, what he is saying, to be quite honest, that could actually destabilize Ivory Coast, that has had issues with Ouattara, the presidency. He's the current president of the Ivory Coast. This man right here, because greedy people don't realize that their actions can literally destabilize countries and can actually do what was the opposite of what that foreign nation was intending, the opposite of what their handlers were intending. And I'm going to tell you this right now. You have Ghana. Where does IShowSpeed fit into all this? Where does the African diaspora fit into all this? Look, as much as you have things destabilizing in that area of West Africa, you want to know why they're destabilizing all that? Because they understand what our presence does in stabilizing West Africa. Our presence neutralizes their presence. I was watching um some of the YouTube channels, and they were talking about White Speed. And basically he was there to, he was getting sent places. He was getting funded. And that he was getting funded by some Western backed groups. And what actually happened was that you had folks in IShowSpeed's camp, and he eventually, IShowSpeed eventually fired, that person. They found it. They were given misinformation. They smoked out the person, and they got rid of the person who was feeding them, because everybody, they're sellouts. This is how it goes. What ended up happening was that as they kind of changed up things, White Speed was basically detained in Nigeria, and um, he had to basically fly back to where he was trying to chase IShowSpeed. But the reality was, what they were doing, they were actually showing how they look at us, how they deal with us, and the blatant operations that go on to try to create the animosity. They don't want us coming together. They don't want us building together. That's blatantly obvious. But what that showed and what that gave, as the TikTok panel was stating, and these collaborative collages of video, these commentators were stating the obvious: it's stalkerism. But haven't we been dealing with that for over 400 years? Yes. Haven't we dealt with that with Black Wall Street, with Durham, with Oscarville, with Coe, with Gaines, or excuse me, Rosewood, you name it. Yes. Now, the problem is that on the continent you build, they really cannot infiltrate like that, especially at this time where people are now seeing an unfiltered image, which we're bringing to the continent. This is us. This isn't us because you heard or you saw or you were told. This is us supporting our brothers and sisters on the continent. I have to wrap this on up because I have a phone call with the chief this morning as we are working on this land acquisition project. And, the reality is we have been given so much favor that it's funny how the Most High had basically put a lot of the cart before the horse to where we have been able to have everything in place. The capital for our private equity investors, the engineers, the contractors for our construction, everything on the ground, our subject matter our experts, and even our relationships with major university hospital systems. We have all that. I just make the appeal to the community. I mean, it's 63 of us in here, but I know it's going to be a little bit more. But I make this appeal to our community. We got to step out on faith. We are required to open up our mouths. So this is where we're at in terms of the positives that has been happening. You're not going to see much of the positives anymore here in the West. That time is over. You're now seeing people panic buying gold. You now see gold and silver that's trying to be manipulated with prices that you have here in the West and prices that you have all around the world. It's simple. For this fundraising, it's simple. Have them go to Q2UA.org. It's right there, literally on the website. Hey, why don't you visit Q2UA.org? This is a fantastic opportunity for us to begin to build. This is what we're doing. They can navigate the website and see all the things that we have done. We have a great body of work. Within our less than 3 years of what we've been able to produce. If, again, 65 people in here, in and out in the chat, if 10 people can talk, if you can talk to 10 people, that communication tree expands. And right now, people want to see something positive, which is what we've done. In a nation that's trying to push Project 2025. You want to know why they can be successful? Because we don't want to talk to our brothers and sisters on the continent. When literally you have a power base, they can't touch you. They can threaten you. They can do everything that they're trying to do. But how's that working? So this is where we're at here at this time. In a time where this is a major decision and inflection point. You got to look inside. This isn't about being crazy. It's not about, oh, well, this Pan African. No, this is about creating opportunities that, quite frankly, doesn't exist anymore here in the United States, especially for people that look like us. Sorry, it doesn't. You want to know why? Look at it. Project 2025 is in full swing. Full swing. Sorry, it is. But this is also a time for us to come together to do something big, to do something that's noteworthy, to do something that's it's righteous and it doesn't offend when we are dealing with our brothers and sisters on the continent. They were trying to plan for literally a regime change. You saw the article. I put it in the chat for $125,000. They were trying to run a country for $125,000. You know what that shows? That's to show what they think about our brothers and sisters on the continent. And let me tell you this, they're worth trillions of dollars. Do you see that disconnect? Family, we need to have that serious discussion with our friends, with our family. What does this do? This creates engagement value. What does that engagement value do? This helps support us when we're trying to ask for things here in the US, when we're trying to engage things. Okay. You don't want to give that to us? All right. Well, let me make a phone call and let's get some pressure. Yeah, less than a penny a person. Right, Cynthia? Less than a penny a person. They're worth a fraction of a penny. That's horrible. We're not poorer than dirt, and they're not poorer than dirt. They boast some of the richest, actually, the richest continent on this earth. And imagine being able to have a phone call, being able to talk to people that can work on our behalf. Things don't get done internally. I'm sorry, it doesn't. Things get done through external pressures. That's how that goes. You want to know in the Chinese community, if things are happening in the Chinese community with hate and things of that nature, they tap into their extended family members over in mainland China. And then guess what? Their diplomats go through and they pressure the government. Hey, if you do this, hey, if you do that, guess what? We're going to cut back on trade. We're going to cut back on cooperation. We're going to cut back on this. And guess what would end up happening? Oh, you want to know what? We got a nice little Asian hate bill. This isn't to be political, but this is to show what critical infrastructure and economic development does to hold hands, to reach across the Atlantic to a place where we were taken from and to begin to build with our brothers and sisters. And let me tell you, when they know that we have their back, they're going to have ours. So I got to get ready for this phone call with the chief. I'll be able to let you all know about the different things that will be offered with the donations. I just need to get the chief's approval. And hopefully I'll be able to come back a little bit sooner and or have a video. I think I'll probably be able to make a video with we'll get that together. Brother Fast Nickel will be able to edit that and get that moving in a great way. No, it's not. It's not. It's not me that has good success. Thank you, Pastor Rick Fletch. It's not me that has good success. This is us. This is for us. This is our success. And that's what we need to start to consider. Even how we program our language, even as we program our talk. Let me tell you how this thing goes here in the concept of this society. Before they literally disseminated amongst themselves and you know they said everything was, this is their land, this is my land. They would even sing from California to the New York Isles. This land was made for you and me, right? We pledge of allegiance. We. There's a collective voice. We're the only ones that use an individualistic voice. They don't. And see, if we don't understand that these are our projects, we may not be in all the planning. But when you know that, hey, we're doing things, it's going, that's a trust factor. That's what we're building up amongst not just our brothers and sisters on the continent, but also more importantly, here. And you can have and demonstrate everything that you want to demonstrate. And our people still will be like, I don't know. I don't know. Because that's a product, that's a conditioning. That's the conditioning of our captivity, unfortunately. But guess what? I got news for you all today. The more we chip away at this, because we're going to acquire this, we got about 60 days. We got 60 days to do this. We got 60 days. And honestly, the sooner we could do this, the better. If we think about it, we should actually have a goal of honestly about 15,000 a day. Can we find somebody? Can we do this? There's 72 of us. Can we raise that goal? Can we find the people? What does this get us? This gets us land. This land then starts to do this and starts to do that. Well, look at that. Hallelujah, Sister Lisa. She says, "Wow, my husband from Sierra Leone just contacted me to give me land after 20 years not knowing his whereabouts. My goodness." To have a foothold in the best of the land, in an area, in a region that literally IShowSpeed showed you. You want to know? You want to know? Take a look at where he started at that waterfall. Remember, I was telling you, I said it's only about 30 minutes from a waterfall. Now you kind of understand the region, the area, and it's very beautiful. It is amazing. It is spectacular. I reached on out to IShowSpeed's people and I said, look, we would like to do some videos for Q2UA. I just don't want to start taking snips and, tidbits and things of that nature just because when you start doing that, you'll get copyright strikes and things of that nature. I don't want to do that to this channel. So we have to be proper, especially as a 501c3 organization. That should be our goal. Can we get 15 to 20,000 donated a day? Can you find someone? Can we find some people for this serious endeavor? This is a serious endeavor. You never know who you open your mouth to that the Most High has already provided. Oh yeah, Minister Rick, we need about you need about at least 250,000 to operate on the media level of IShowSpeed. He has a team. That team it's funded. It's not necessarily funded by him. It's funded by other folks. That's sponsored funding. We can get there one day, but yeah. But this is that seed, family. Can you imagine the seed that we had with the container and look at where we're at right now, building a hospital? That was in less than a year. That was in less than a year. So with that, I got to get up on out of here. Again, please share the link with your friends, family, co-workers. This is a 501c3. So please spread the word. The only way we're going to get this done is you spreading the word. That's it. So I feel proud of what our website looks like. I feel proud of what we've accomplished. And I'm proud of how we have been able to present this. I really am. It's just now going to be up to us. So, with that said, most high willing, I'll be back on next week. And for those that see me, usually, you can find me over at Covenant Awakenings. So, with that, be blessed. Shalom and salam, everyone.